6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is a news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First the headlines. The President sets ambitious timeline for Sri Lanka's debt restructuring and reconciliation efforts. Measures will be taken to revise the Consumers Affairs Authority Act in order to protect rights of the consumers. The Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment warns the public of a fake foreign job scam. Advanced Level 2022 practical tests will begin from Tuesday. News overseas: debris field found in search for missing Titanic submarine. In sports, Sri Lanka and Oman meets for ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier match today. And those are the headlines. In a determined push to address Sri Lanka's debt crisis and foster reconciliation, President Ranil Wickremesinghe outlined plans to finalize the debt restructuring process by September this year. Collaborating closely with Parliament, the President aims to develop a comprehensive strategy for resolving the nation's financial burdens, the President's Media Division said. President Ranil Wickremesinghe participated in the 40th anniversary event of the International Democratic Union in London on the 19th and 20th of June, and joining the forum with former Canadian Prime Minister, Chairman of the IDU, Mr. Stephen Harper, he explained the circumstances that paved the way for his presidency and the country's journey towards economic recovery. Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security, Nalin Fernando, says measures will be taken to revise the Consumer Affairs Authority Act in order to protect the rights of the consumers. The existing act has not been revised for over 20 years. The minister further said that the country has been able to stop import of rice due to the correct decisions taken by the President. He made these remarks during a press conference organized by the Presidential Media Center yesterday, focusing on the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country. He also stated that the legal action would be taken against companies manufacturing non-essential food items that failed to offer relief to the public despite benefiting from the government tax concessions. The minister also emphasized the importance of displaying the maximum price of every product sold within the country, adding that the legal measures would be taken against companies and manufacturers that fail to comply with this requirement. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manisha Nanekara yesterday urged foreign employment seekers not to get duped by racketeers who promise lucrative foreign employment while indicating that they are closely connected to him, one of his family members or personal staff. Minister Nanekara says that the foreign employment seekers should not give money to such fraudsters and added he will not take responsibility of such action. The minister further stated that he has no involvement in any such transaction and that no member of his family or any other official of the ministerial staff are involved in the business of running foreign employment agencies. Examinations Commissioner General Amit Jayasundara says that the practical tests of the General Certificate of Education Advanced Level Examination 2022 will resume from 27th of this month. Practical exams related to local and Indian dances, music, oriental, engineering technology, biosystems technology will also be conducted. Local and Indian dance practicals will be held from 27th June to July 6th. Engineering technology practical tests will be held from June 12th to 21st of June. Biosystems technology practical tests will be held from 29th June to 30th June. The admission cards of the school participants will be forwarded to the principal of the respective schools, and admission cards of the private applicants will also be sent to the respective addresses from before the commencement of the practical exams. Admission cards can be downloaded 7 days prior to the commencement of the relevant practical tests through the examination department's online exams.gov.lk online app. The substantial increment of around 10,000 rupees for all Army personnel, war-affected disabled Army personnel and family members of deceased Army personnel to their salaries beginning from April this year has taken place, following a prolonged absence of about 4 years, under the recommendation of President Ranil Wickremesinghe in response to the request of the Commander of the Army, Lieutenant General Wikum Lienege. And this was reportedly the first time such an increased allowance was paid to them rather, after 2019, and Sri Lanka Army said. The added increment of this allowance, which is particularly considering the financial difficulties of Army members both living inside and outside for service requirements, serves as a considerable relief to them due to the prevailing economic recession. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Minister of Public Security Tiran Allowance has issued instructions to the Sri Lanka police to take immediate action against violent crimes being carried out in the southern and western provinces. According to Minister Allowance, instructions have been issued to Inspector General of Police and senior police officers in this regard. The IGP and senior police officers have been ordered to take immediate and stern actions against violent crimes in the southern and western provinces. He further stated that a grace period has been granted until 31st of July 2023 to surrender the unauthorized or unlicensed firearms. And that came to you in top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchline, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board announced a 16-hour water cut will be imposed in several parts of Colombo today. According to the Water Board, the water supply will be disrupted from 8 a.m. today to midnight tomorrow. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board stated that the water cut will be imposed on Colombo 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15 areas. And that came to you in Watchline. And moving on to world news. Headlines: debris field found in search for missing Titanic submarine. At least 30 migrants feared dead in Canary Islands disaster. China capital Beijing records hottest June day in 60 years. And those are the headlines of the world news. A debris field has been found on the seabed near the Titanic wreck, and experts are evaluating the area, the U.S. Coast Guard has announced. The U.S. Coast Guard will hold a press conference at 1500 local time with more information about the debris. Deep underwater drone subs have been searching the sea floor for the missing Titan submarine. The area being scoured by aircraft, ships and other equipment has been expanded to cover about 10,000 square miles of the ocean. More than 30 migrants may have drowned after their boat sank in the Atlantic Ocean off the Canary Islands, two charities have said. Walking Borders and Alarm Phone said that the boat was carrying around 60 people. Spanish authorities said rescue workers found the bodies of a minor and a man and rescued 24 other people, but did not know how many people were on board. Beijing has recorded its hottest June day in more than 60 years, with the temperature touching 41.1 centigrade. Chinese weather authorities say the city is experiencing a prolonged heat wave with extreme temperatures to persist until the end of June. Yesterday, officials said it was the hottest June day since record keeping began in 1961. And that's world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037-7500-500.
The Ceylon Electricity Board has decided to generate power from the 600 plus megawatts of LNG power plants available until its requirement for long-term LNG power generation is fulfilled. The proposal was presented by the Indian energy company Petronet LNG as an immediate solution to the power generation issue. This discussion was held yesterday between the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle, Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara and several other officials, where the Indian energy company Petronet LNG presented short-term immediate solutions for CEB's LNG requirements. And that came to you in Development News.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salary starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches: Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500.
Moving on to sports news, two unbeaten teams in Group B of ICC Cricket World Cup qualifiers, Sri Lanka and Oman, will clash in a crucial match scheduled to be played in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe today. Oman has been a surprise team in this tournament, exceeding expectations, having already beaten Ireland and UAE, and will come into the game with full of confidence to register what would be one of their biggest wins in their history. Sri Lanka, on the other side, deemed as one of the strongest of the 10 teams that are battling for the 2 slots for the forthcoming World Cup, will be facing a team that has pulled off a surprise and are in top form. And that came to you in sports.
The all-new NSB Itru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka's food inflation will ease to a single digit next month, and though the government had been expecting it in December this year, Trade Minister Nalin Fernandez said, as appreciation of the rupee, improved local food supply with chemical fertilizer application and base effect have helped to ease the inflation. The year-on-year food inflation has eased to 15.8% in May from 27.1% in the previous month. And that came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Itru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Sri Lanka's tea exports were up by 4.21% from a year ago to 20.55 million kilograms in May 2023, data showed, as the production increased during the second quarter of the year after a ban on chemical fertilizer was lifted. Export earnings were $116.3 million in May 2023, up from $93.6 million a year earlier. And that was economic news. And moving on to weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Matara districts. A few showers will occur in northern and northwestern provinces. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in Uva province and in Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the evening or night. Fairly strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in western slopes of the Central Hills, northern and north-central provinces, and in Puttalam, Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President sets ambitious timeline for Sri Lanka's debt restructuring and reconciliation efforts. Measures will be taken to revise the Consumer Affairs Authority Act in order to protect rights of consumers. The Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment warns the public of a fake foreign job scam. Advanced Level 2022 practical exams will begin from next Tuesday. And with that, we conclude this morning news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.